Hello, fellow Sparks. What the heck is up? So, today we have a fun one for all those Galaxy Brain players out there. When you can't win with brute strength, you can always outsmart your enemies. So let's go ahead and turn any threats into a pumpkin, respond with Opt, and delve right in. So let's go ahead and talk about blue. So if you ever played against a blue deck, I'm sure you can agree that it's frustrating, and for many reasons, but to quell some of that hate, I think it might make it clear if we know what the fundamental background of this color is and understand its strengths and weaknesses, and this will hopefully enlighten those who love and despise the color that is blue. So blue draws its power from islands, and it embodies concepts of logic and technology, and it seeks perfection through knowledge. Their allies are white and black for their order and ambition, and enemies consist of red and green for their thoughtlessness and conservative natures that frustrates them respectively. Blue is a color that strives for knowledge and sophistication. They believe that you can always do better with knowledge and everything can be improved. Blue's philosophy consists of that in this world there are hidden wonders and fantastic outcomes, and all it takes is someone who's bright enough and brave enough to find those outcomes. So there are a lot of elements that make up a color's strengths and weaknesses, but blue really has two strengths, and ironically they double down on those strengths because that's really all they know how to do. Those two strengths consist of card draw and counter magic. So let's go ahead and talk about card draw as it's the easiest, and it's kind of really strong for how simple it is. Just as you'd imagine, cards like Divination and Chemister Insights are amazing, and trust me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Even furthermore, there are cards that do so much more, like Ponder. Not only lets you sift through the top cards of your deck and then select what you want to add, you can see how this can become very strong in the long run. I personally feel like it's the consistency that makes it a lot stronger. Let's go ahead and tackle another very strong aspect of blue, and that's counter magic. So counters are vaguely talked about in white, but blue takes the whole heckin' cake. We have cards that counter anything, we have cards that counter specific abilities, we have cards that counter even triggered abilities. So let's be honest, when a blue player is channeling their inner Oprah, it can be quite frustrating. Even in recent as Ikoria, they dropped a free counter spell as long as you have your commander out, so just know that this is the primary removal for them, and this will come back later. So I have two tips for you. Maybe if you're going against a blue player, if you notice that they have mana open and it's not their turn, you can believe that a counter spell is going to happen. However, if you are that blue player, you can kind of use that to your advantage and maybe make players play more cautious even when you're actually not holding a counter spell. So it's certainly something to look at, and there's two sides to every coin. So coming back to blue actually and counter magic, this is also a pseudo weakness, and that's mainly because it's blue's only real removal. Once something's on board, it really has no answers to it apart from sending it back to the hand, and that's a solid segue to weaknesses here. Blue has no removal. I mean, they can send cards back to the hand, but apart from that, they have next to zero removal, apart from Tim with Death Touch. In addition to mostly weak creatures, they can find it hard to end games without having full control of the game. Blue also needs mana, and they use a lot of it, not to mention they have to reserve some in case they want to counter cards that are put into play. It can really put a stranglehold on their mana supply. Crippled with no removal, they can get swarmed pretty quickly if they're not given the time. So what do we know about blue so far? Well, we do know that they have an amazing card draw engine, and we also know they have really strong counter magic. We also know that they have zero removal, and they can also run into some mana issues. So this list may be small, but they have huge strengths and huge weaknesses to boot, and just like any wizard, they're very glass cannon to say the least. So some of the keywords you're going to find are going to be, well, flash, because they like to have responses to most things, so their creature having flash is sort of fitting. Flying, they're very versed in flying, and that's mainly going to be a large source of their damage. And finally, they're going to have hexproof, which is actually a pretty strong keyword. It essentially makes the permanent untargetable, but still vulnerable to board affecting cards. Overall, blue is a very strong color, and they can control most situations with counters and powerful creature effects, so certainly tread caution if you find yourself facing a blue player. If you liked this video, maybe consider liking it yourself and slapping that subscribe button for more Magic content, and I guess there's no real way to avoid the next color, so prepare to connect to nature as we explore the wilderness in the next one. As always, take it easy. Bye!